Good evening, and welcome to another session, Navigating Life session. Right, let's get going. So, the Navigating Life series is an outreach of the St. Andrew Church of Christ, and we have been doing this pre-COVID, a number of years, and we seek to present solutions to challenges that arise as we go through life. And so that's why we have Navigating Life. Navigating Life is one of the things, one of the outreach programs that we have. We also, last week, had our grief therapy group where we help people to manage grief, to go through grieving. We also have our Christ Ambassadors program at Melrose Infant and Prep School, where we have an after-school program where we try to help them to navigate life from early points in time. Of course, have worship, and we worship on Sundays at 9 a.m. at 77 Reddings Road. And we have a Bible class immediately after, somewhere in the region of 10:35, 10:40. And then we also have a midweek Bible class online using this very same, wherever you're hearing this voice from, using the same contact information. So it's on Zoom as well as we stream live on YouTube, social media. All right, so I'm Trevor Smith. I wonder if someone is not hearing anything. Am I being heard?
Good evening, Brother Smith. Yes, but it's very low.
Okay. So I should speak a little louder then.
That's okay. No.
All right. I wanted to, be in a sort of quiet conversation mode, but I understand. All right. So some people might be listening on their devices, etc. All right. Hopefully this works, and I hope I can sustain it for the time that we are together. All right. So the last time we were here, we were blessed with someone who had a difficult conversation coming up, and we were blessed that the individual was willing to open up and to speak about it. And we actually shared some tips, and the person was going to go into the conversation, and hopefully today they would come back to say, well, what you suggested was not helpful or was very helpful, and we would get a report. So not sure if the individual is here and willing to report, in which case mic is open. We're ready right now to hear, but we also have a few more points that we want to share with you. So again, not calling any names or anything, but if the individual is here and wanted to speak about that difficult conversation, please just put up your hand to say, yeah, you're here, and we will invite you to come. But before we go into anything else, I'm going to ask you to bow with me as we have a word of prayer. Almighty God, we give you thanks, Lord, for these opportunities to share insights and to discuss how we can go through life living in accordance to your principles. We pray, Lord God, that as we have this session, that we will have an open mind. We pray, Lord God, that the insights that are shared will be aligned to your will, your word, and that they will have positive impact on those who hear them. We pray, Father, that we will have an open mind to apply these principles to our lives and to guide others. Pray all of these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So, chat. Okay. I'm going to suggest that you log out if you're not hearing and just log back in. That happens many times. Well, suppose you're not hearing that. So somebody could type in the chat, log out, log back in. All right. So yeah, today we want to definitely finish this series on navigating difficult conversations. And so the next time you log on to Navigating Life, you definitely will be dealing with another topic, I would hope. And hopefully you will also see a situation where our brother who is now back up and running will be your primary host. No problem. All right, so let's get right into it. So today I want to look at some other issues. So we have gone through many strategies. We have also looked at how to navigate conversations with different behavioral styles, people who approach life differently. And today I want to look at, I think it's 5 or 6 different strategies that we can use to help to have conversations and to have those conversations work out better. All right. So we're going to go through them. When we're done, we're done. Okay. Let me just check the chat here. Somebody helping. Okay. All right. Somebody helping. All right. So the first one we want to look at is the power of a pause. And I'm going to pause right there now and just reinforce now that if you have a conversation, if you have issues, this is not a sermon. I'm inviting you, please, to share, put it on the table. You can use codes for it if you don't want it to be knowing exactly what is what. So, yeah. So, but we definitely want to be very practical and to provide solutions. All right, so the power of the pause. This first strategy basically is that you're in the conversation and something comes up. In many instances, especially we're talking about difficult conversations, right? So this is not, something where you're having fun and so on. We're talking about a situation that is usually accompanied by some amount of tension and so on. So the tendency or the temptation might be to respond quickly. So the person says A, and you're saying no, X, Y, and that is not always helpful. So the first strategy that we want to talk about in this session then would be the use of the pause, where well, let us go back to early childhood. Is early childhood, and we talk about counting to 10, right? Or yeah, anybody got that kind of coaching, or is just old time people talk like that? That we're saying, count to 10 uh, before you respond. Anybody ever been told that, or yeah?
Yes.
No. All right, cool.
Yes, yes.
Right. So that's what this is about. There is a moment where you drill, focus, you train yourself. And a lot of what we're going to be talking or have been talking about and continue to talk about is the idea of developing muscle memory. What does that mean? It means that you don't have to think about it. It just comes automatically. Yeah. So if I'm going to tie my shoelace, I don't have to think about it. I just move and it just happens. And so that's what we're talking about. When we want to develop new habits, we have to drill and drill and drill until it becomes part of your now. You don't have to think about it, it just happens. And so one of the things that we could do then, if we want to work towards being able to navigate difficult conversations better, would be to pause. Use this pause where you just stop. And the value of that is, of course, you're starting to regulate the emotions. Well, just the fact that you can pause would suggest that you have some element of control. You still are in a rational mode. So that's good. But you want to develop the muscle memory so that when you are going out of the farm and not in your rational mode, it actually trips in and you pull yourself back. So it gives you space to reflect and to come up with a constructive response. As a matter of fact, what it actually does is it helps you to actually understand what it is that is being said, and maybe appreciate as well. Not only just understand, but appreciate what is being said. And just those things might actually cause you to temper your response. So you're going to use the pause, right? So you're going to use the pause to say, what am I hearing here? What am I hearing here? What am I, what is being said? What is the intention of that comment? So you're trying to understand to some extent why the person would say this. All of that can take place in the pause. Any comments on that? Somebody could to develop or to ask some questions around it so that we better appreciate the idea. Is this something useful? How would you use it? All of those questions are there.
Hi, I'm gonna comment. My name is Pauline. I agree with you because even from a scripture point of view, it says we're to wait on that still small voice. An older lady at church, she usually talked to me and said, when something happens, somebody do you something, she said, the devil always jump in front and tell you hurt him or do thing, but you wait, pause and wait for that still small voice.
Okay, so it's funny. I never heard that one at all about the devil jumping in. That's cute. Anybody else? How easy is it? Sometimes we come up with these nice things and we talk about it, and yeah, everybody says it sounds good, but in the heat of the moment, is this a feasible concept?
Yes, it is, because it avoids you saying the wrong thing from the onset.
Okay, thanks, Simon. All right, yeah. Ask, you don't have to answer this, but I'm going to ask the question. When last have you said, "Oh boy, I could have bite my tongue," because the words went out before you could bring them back in? But of course, if somebody's brave, they could understand the concept of saying, "Oh man, I could have bite my tongue," because yeah, says something, and even as it is going out, you know that that's not, that should never have left my mouth. That's not going to land well. So, all right. There are no other comments. Let us move to the second one. And this is an interesting concept. As a matter of fact, I have these success with people insights that we do on not only on LinkedIn but on Facebook. And the session yesterday or Thursday related to dealing with our inner critic, right? So you know that we have these voices in our heads that tell us all sorts of different things, etc. Right? They can lead us astray, they can frustrate us, they can actually cripple us because you know they are saying, "Hey, I'm going to sign up for this course." Course? Oh my! At your age, what are you doing? No, come on. So you know, I don't know if you have those voices. Or I am the only crazy one here, but you know, there's a sophisticated term that is used, and it's called the inner critic. You know, so that the voices are there that are basically criticizing you. But I remember a sermon at like 2009 where I dealt with the voice in your head, but from a different perspective. But those voices are there. And the suggestion, the big suggestion was to name them, call them by name, you know. So fearful Fred, or if you want to call it, you know, call them by name. So, and the value of calling them by name is that you identify the emotion. You know when they enter the picture, what is it that allowed them to enter the picture? So the trigger, etc. So you can actually then separate yourself from them. That's why I remember the sermon. I remember asking people to stand up and put their Bible or their songbook back, you know, on the seat while they stand. And then I asked them to put themselves on the seat while they remain standing. And that was total confusion because we identify this avatar as ourselves. Sorry, digression, but the key point here, though, is the same principle. If we name our emotions, those emotions that we are going through in the conversation, it will tend to diffuse the intensity. You know, part of the problem that we have, you know, is anonymity. It's when we, you know, are not clear about things, etc. You know, if we hide in the dark or so on. But once you start to turn the light on things and make them clear, life is a lot easier. So that's what we want to do. We want to say, I don't want you to be there stoking fire in my mind. I'm going to call you out. I want to identify specifically what is happening to me. And by calling it by name, there is something, it makes a difference. Yeah. Right. I'm going to ask Brother Andre to come in on this. This is his bargain. So, for example, I can say, you know, I'm really feeling anxious about this decision, you know. And so maybe that's why I'm nervous. Maybe I'm not expressing myself with the same clarity and assurance that I could, because I'm not so sure that this is a direction in which I want to go. So that's there. So right, and you could even go to the other side. Remember, one of the things that we talked about is to avoid the you. So you're not going to speak about, you're only going to use I statements, but You could also, depending on how the conversation is going and the relationship, you can also say, you know, I've seen that this issue is frustrating for you, you know. And what it does then is opens the door for both of you to go back and look at what's happening inside, you know, which voices are in play, and by identifying them, you can get to a place where you're better able to manage those feelings. And so the feelings are no longer in charge. You are in charge because you know that this is this kind of input that you're getting from the voice, and you can actually normalize the situation. And at least you'll be in a better position to continue the conversation in a meaningful way. Brother Andre, I have to pull you out.
Okay, thank you. The only thing, I don't have much to add. The only thing I'd probably state is that when somebody names that emotion, sometimes they're able to even talk through it themselves because they're hearing themselves, announce it. And so what I may recommend to the persons who are, to the other party, so to speak, is to allow them to express it. After they name it, sometimes they can talk through it. To allow them to express it, allow them to say, I feel angry, and here's why I feel angry. And just allow them to talk through it, because maybe even talking through it, because remember, most folks, when they name those emotions, they want you to understand their context. And if you interrupt them too soon, then they're going to become angry because they believe that you're just trying to defend yourself and not trying to understand those emotions.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, anybody else want some clarity on this? It's important. So sometimes when you talk about this, it sounds as if you kind of not getting crazy, whatever it is. But in truth and in fact, these things are actually happening in your head. You're getting these voices, and instead of one of the things that I said on Thursday is that many people try to ignore it, so the voices are coming, you're getting the feedback, you're getting the input, etc., and you just kind of shut them off and don't pay it any mind. I think that's a fatal error, in a sense that you then allow them to just run wild. Basically, what I'm suggesting is that this kind of sound kind of crazy, is that you almost like to want to treat them like people. That's why I'm saying you name them, so that this person is always negative. They may just beat you down. Every idea that you have, they're going to tell you you can't do it. Don't bother try this. All right. And say you have, for example, another voice that is you fight against advocate. Who is that fight against advocate? So that never do this because people always fight against you, and them never deal with anybody from your community or with your qualifications or where you live. That kind of mindset. Yeah. So if you just ignore them, they're not going away. And so those things will constantly be beating it down until you get to a point where they start to actually, overpower you because, you have not dealt with them and controlled them. So the naming thing is very important. It's not that you start to talk, people talk about talk to yourself, etc. Although self-talk is not a bad thing. Don't worry about that. All right, can I move on to our next one? Might be done already. All right, so this is a strange one as well. But remember, we're talking difficult conversations, so therefore, all the things are not going to be easy. So this is talking about the conversation itself. What do I mean? Yeah? So suppose you're in a discussion, and we were supposed to resolve a particular issue. But as the conversation is going on, we're talking about everything else but the issue. You ever go to a meeting like that? You look at the agenda and you are 15, 20 minutes into the meeting and none of the agenda item or nothing that even sounds like an agenda item has been discussed. Yeah. So that's what we're talking about. In the difficult conversation, we are here to resolve this issue. And with circumventing the people, I suppose it can be fear or, concern because this conversation is difficult. So therefore the persons want to tiptoe around the real issue. But what's the point if you want to have a constructive conversation? Then one way to deal with it is to call it to order, is to say, hey, I noticed that we're drifting away from the main point. And I understand, but suppose we kind of step back a little bit and decide how we want to go forward with this. Yeah? Because at the end of the day, we still need to address the issue that we're here to discuss. So, no pressure, but at some point in time, we need to look at how we want to go forward with this. This is not the right time, then let us reschedule, whatever. I'm just saying to you, let us examine the process that we're going through here and to recognize that it is not doing what we want it to do. Another one can be that it's getting really heated. It's getting really heated. And we can see that, tempers are rising. And again, it's a similar kind of thing. I noticed that we're getting a little bit more animated and voices are being raised and so on. So maybe it's time for us to just give this a break and come back to it at another time. So what we're asking for then is a reset, is to say, let us look at the conversation itself to see if it is doing what it's supposed to do or if it is going in a way that is constructive. Bearing in mind that at the end of the day, we still need to maintain our relationship. We still need to be reconciled, all of those things. Silence again needs some comments, some feedback as to whether these things make sense or how you would apply it. Yeah. Plenty hands on deck. We have some wise people there that must be able to enhance what it is that I'm saying. Do I need to call up people? Is there one? Right?
Something.
Go ahead, please. I never want to pick on you, but I'm expecting you to come in.
I think, I don't know, and maybe you can help me with this one also, but I think that motive, if I don't know how we'll be able to, but if we're able to, in discussing in having the conversation about the issue, I think people would listen easier if they believe that you're not trying to defend your position. I just really think that it would be easier for persons to listen if they don't think you're coming to defend your position, but you're really seeking to be understood. You're trying to have some clarity to a context, and so you're not even asking for blame to be leveled at anybody. It might be, but I'm just saying that's not the goal per se. You just really want to try to be understood, and if persons understand that context or have that in the back of their minds, it might change the way they listen. Just as a thought in having the conversation.
Amen. That's one of the earlier, I think, this is part 3 or part 4. So that's one of the early things they've talked about in terms of setting the tone for the conversation. Part of the thing is to make it clear that you're there to find answers. And when you're talking to yourself, is that I'm here. This is an issue of concern. I would like to understand it better, and I want to find ways to move forward, etc. So the tone, everything, etc. Right? One example is interesting because Thursday night is the same thing. One example is not to use the but. So I'm here. I want to have for us to resolve this matter and in an amicable way, but I have concerns. So that just means that's why I put the whole of the nice things that you say at the beginning. So you have to be careful about that. But yeah, so the whole idea is the whole demeanor, the whole thing is we're trying to find answers here. We're trying to find, we're not blaming things, we just want to look at facts, look at what happened. Well, I suppose everybody has their own facts nowadays, but the whole idea is that. So yeah, that's a good context. Is that if you come to point the finger, that is why the you is not ideal. It should speak in terms of I. It would help. So Charmaine says that yeah, it's true, but it's difficult depending on audience. I agree. Bear in mind again, these are difficult conversations, right? So whether the person is close to you or your daggers drawn, it's still is not easy all the time. As a matter of fact, the closer the person is, it might be more challenging for you to have the kind of conversation. Okay. Yeah, brother, go ahead.
I found what helped me a lot in these difficult situations is to start out with the why, because that why actually tests the motive. If you can find the right time to ask that why, it normally just reveals what's behind every situation. And I truly believe that why is one of the most powerful questions, because it really goes back to, as I said, the motive. Why do you do? Why do you say this? And you can find out this truly to prove it from little children. They'll get everything out of you with the why. I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. What I was going to do is kind of put you on the spot and beg you give me an example. But yes, why is, as a matter of fact, there is a management thing that talks about 5 whys theory. That if you ask like 5 whys, you're gonna get to it. Yeah. So why did the plane blow up? And then okay, well, there was an explosion. Why was the explosion? And you go on and you go on and go on until at some point in time you can get to the core. As you said, the children dig that out of you. All right, but yeah, if you have an example that you can raise, I would mind. But if not, I'm not putting you on the spot as to how you would use it.
We're not thinking right now.
All right, cool. That's no problem. No problem. Well, we can understand that though. That yeah, but you have to be careful how you do it. Yeah, as you said, it's strategic of when you put it in and so on, so that it doesn't raise the temperature of the conversation. Yeah. So you could be going on and, but why did you do it? Yeah, but what? That's not a useful use of the why principle, I don't think. Yeah. Okay.
But Brother Smith,
Yeah, go ahead.
but maybe I don't know. I was looking at it. I was looking at his statement to say he's asking himself the why and not
Okay.
necessarily the other person,
Okay,
right?
cool.
But I think it can be useful. I'm just saying, if you ask yourself, why do I need to have this conversation? Ask yourself some questions. I think, so at least it will put you into a frame of mind as to how you're going to approach it.
Excellent. Yep. All right. Sounds good. All right. Reframing. Basically, what that means is try to look at the things from another perspective, right? That's basically what it is. Is that sometimes we are in a conversation and we are upset and we can only see things from our perspective. Yeah. Believe me, you could never have any respect for me and talk to me like that. You could, or whatever, So in our mind, it's we have to sort this person out, or something. So it's clear in our minds that this is real. This is the fact. These are the situations, and so what the reframing process includes would be an idea that right where Andre came from a while ago now in terms of saying, why are we having the conversation? Are we trying there to fix the person's business? We did this in one of the sessions earlier. Or are we trying to find a solution that works, that resolves the thing, that everybody can walk away feeling as if the matter has been settled? Yeah. So it's not a question of going into win. Is that so the whole of that why is important. What is the reason that we're having this conversation? Maybe I should scroll back up and look at that slide about the whole question of being prepared. How do you prepare for the conversation? So instead of again looking to see why this deadline was missed, why this problem occurred, it would be useful or helpful to look at forward. How do we arrive at a place where this situation does not recur? This situation does not take place again. Yeah. So that's, again, together, we want to find ways to avoid the situation that we are in. It's not your fault, it's not my fault. We're not interested in the fault. What we're trying to look at is a way forward. Yeah. Something is it's blaring out in my mind. This is a long time ago. I was studying in Germany and with a company, a sort of work study, and there was a major problem, with one department. And the head of my unit came to work, and she heard about the problem, and she quickly found out if our unit had any responsibility for it. And when she learned that no, it's this other department, I can't tell you what is in her mind or whatever it is, but she just went on and just did other things. There was no attempt to reach out, to call, to try to solve the problem, etc. And that always has stuck with me. That part of it is the competition, because you have heads of units who, are in line for the next promotion. So the message that I got was a gloat that, okay, my competitor over there, although we are in the same company, has a setback because they have a problem. This is a big problem for the company. Or maybe not for the companies now. In her mind, it's a big problem for them. That's one approach that's common. We tend to look at it from our point of view instead of trying to pick up the pieces and to see how together we can find answers. And that's a way that I think we could approach some of the conversations. Yeah? I also have experience in the media, unfortunate period of my life, but anyway, where I've never seen more rigid, more firm silos, where one department, like the editorial department, is like a bastion. You can't approach, you can't even make a suggestion. There, and advertising, everybody just have their own fiefdom, and it's the same kind of thing. So you would have issues coming up, and it's the organization's issue. But do you dare? No, you can't dare. So a lot of sustained conflict, if you want, it's arises from this failure to stop looking at blaming and start collaboratively looking at solutions. Comments, suggestions, questions? You're not to be bashful, Brother Andre. You can come back in with your co-host.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes, sir.
I think we should start with a serious dose of humility when we are approaching those difficult conversations. Because sometimes we are the problem and we're not realizing it.
Okay. You want to develop that a little more? It's very, very strong already.
No, because it usually means that we have taken a position on the matter. And maybe it's a faulty position, either due to lack of knowledge or due to a bias that we have. So I think it's wise to take a step back and really do some analysis and some soul searching to see really if our position is the one that's not sustainable, and maybe the other persons have a point that we have overlooked. So I would say approach all of these with serious humility and a willingness to listen to the other person's points of view, because they might be shedding light that we have overlooked.
Brilliant. Agree 100%. Yeah. And it even just even that listening, that pause to actually try to hear what the other person is saying might also help to temper someone, because these things tend to be riddled with emotions. Even that moment of trying to listen and to hear what's happening from the other side should give us pause to say, is there value there? Am I dead sure about what the position I'm taking? Is there some validity in an alternative position? So those kinds of things could help ultimately to bring the thing to some solution that works for everybody. But yeah, humility is an important part, because if we are dead right, even when we are not right, it could cause problems. Unless, of course, we are deliberate now that even when we are not right, when we know that we're not right, we still want to pursue a position. But that's another thing that is more for politics than for real life.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I hope it doesn't, send you on a tangent. But
I only hope you answer to it when you ask it.
Is there a place, though, after we have reframed for us or the other person, I don't know, to take some kind of responsibility? Is there a place for us to go, okay, yeah, I can see where, even in reframing, by the way, the onus is still on, I'm going to use this wrong word, the perpetrator. Is there a place for you to say, well, somebody stole something, you're trying to have the hard conversation about it there. So you have, but you need to have the conversation with them because of what they did. But in truth and in fact, they are still justifying is the Robin Hood mentality. So they're still justifying their action, so to speak. So you're trying to have the hard conversation. Is there a place where one, you either leave it alone because they are not prepared to accept responsibility, or you are trying to, no matter how much you try to reframe and use examples and what have you, is there a place for that?
Yeah, okay. Maybe reframing is not a catch-all. It's not a a situation that's been working it's not a strategy that you can use for every situation. So if you're talking about somebody stealing a situation, what is the reframing when they do with them? When they say, okay, let us sit down and see how we can stop people from stealing, maybe that is fine. But at the end of the day, yeah, there is a finger, there's clear. If you have the evidence that this person actually stole and so on, maybe part of the solution then is to exclude them or prevent them, don't no longer give them the opportunity to steal, which might mean asking them to spend the time elsewhere. But all I'm saying is that reframing doesn't always cover a situation where someone has to take responsibility. And I think even it might be a first step to say, okay, fine, let us solve the problem. Let us come together to find a way to fix the problem. Then, in looking back now as to the analysis of what happened, etc., then of course we might identify that you could have done this instead of that, and that is the cause of where we are. Yeah, but it's a different approach, at least, to the discussion initially, put it that way. So rather than coming guns firing to say, well, okay, fine, you are the one that messed up this, etc., which then, is a blame, excuse discussion. That's not so helpful. So where the reframing would come in now is that we're looking at a situation. We try to solve the situation at first, but that doesn't necessarily mean that people will not have to be held accountable, or that we're not going to identify positive factors. That makes sense.
Excellent.
Can I tiptoe in? All right. Okay. All right. Listening. We could have a PhD on listening. The more I go and dig up stuff and get exposed to listening is kind of frightful, in the sense that, yeah, it's a skill that is amazing. And we're not talking now just about hearing, but it's the whole question of being fully engaged where mind, body, everything, actions, we are there. Nodding, acknowledging, asking questions, doing the I hear you, okay, yes, agree. All of that helps to have the other parties at least believe that you are engaged, that you really are listening, and that you are open to hearing what it is that they have to share. So that's something that again takes time and takes a whole set of work on our minds, because when you're upset, you really and truly don't want to. Yeah, you cannot to listen because but you just know. You put it this way: there's a part of you are saying that, yeah, I don't agree. Yeah, I hear that, but that's not my view of it, and so the tendency to be engaged. Okay, all right. So yeah, I hear you. Yep, I understand. I hear. That's not as easy as it sounds. All right, leaving the space again as to how those conversations. Just reflect on some of the conversations that you have had to see how easy it would have been for you to really be there, making the eye contact, and because remember, it's not you alone, and the other person is also upset and might also not be so keen to be in the eye contact mode and into the agreement mode. So it's not you only have control over you. You can't control the other person. So that's a question as to how challenging would it be to go to this deeper level of listening in difficult conversations. Anybody?
Hello, can I say something?
Please.
Just occurring to me that sometimes it's conversation. Well, I didn't come in at the beginning, so I'm not sure what was already said. But some of these conversations are not held face to face.
Okay.
When you have these conversations on like Zoom, I can see you, but you can't see me. Or when they're on the telephone, whether it's WhatsApp, but there's just no, you can't tell body language or anything.
Yeah. Yes, that's a good point. Which is one of the reasons why people are saying that social media, is not always helpful to interpersonal relations. Yeah. It gets worse when you send a text message, email. Well, text is worse because you're trying to, tend to be short and maybe have some little emojis inside of it.
And some people have a different understanding of some of the emojis, because I will use a particular one and I see it as a smile, and somebody else will see it as a sneer or a snicker.
Yeah.
They have various meanings.
Yeah. So be old school and refuse to use them. Okay, I'm in trouble right here now. Write out what you have to say. Yes. Somebody ask you to pray for somebody. I'm praying. Okay. Sorry. No. Please don't let us have a difficult conversation about it. Just strike it out. I'm just not. Right. So go ahead, bro.
Right. Question. Would mindfulness, I should say, involves active listening? Or not mindfulness, mindful listening involves active listening or checking understanding. Let me use the word checking understanding.
what it is actually, this mindful listening, it says, and actually move it out, it actually says beyond mindful listening is beyond active. So it includes active, but it goes deeper. Yeah. So all of the active things in terms of asking and etc. All of those things are included in mindful. What it is though is I suppose a deeper commitment of yourself in the process. So there's a marked involvement. So some of it might be physical. So what Kathy is saying is that if it's it might be challenging to listen mindfully to a chat or on Zoom or WhatsApp. But but that's the idea. The idea is a greater level of investment of yourself in the listening process. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, definitely. So when I actually, so I was hoping that, so when I use the word checking understanding, so even if I'm typing something or just having a conversation, I'm not seeing the body language, the fact that I am in the conversation and I'm inquiring, not to show up the person, but to get an understanding as to what is happening and to understand those emotions. The fact that I'm asking and I'm not devoid of what the person is saying, nor am I kind of thinking, in case I'm finished talk, because I just want to hang up the phone. I'm saying by checking the understanding, I think is a way to let the person know that you have a vested interest in what they're sharing, even if you're not seeing them face. That's where that was coming from.
But when I ask me this one, so this man try provoke me. That's the response you could get. When I ask me this one, me not explain already up there, sir. You see this man try provoke me. When I ask me this one now, really, that could be the question when you're going for you have to understand them, But I hear you, Andre, and it's a good point. But you could actually have that response. It depends on what's happening on the other side. Yes, that's what a little teaser for you to come back and to say, that's the understanding. But it's a two-sided thing, and in all of our life things we talk about, we're saying that we can only control ourselves. So we have to respond and in a way that we are in control of us. We can't dictate how the other person is going to respond. But yes, if we don't understand something, we should ask. We shouldn't just let it pass. We should ask and try to ask in a way that's, that hopefully would land. But it doesn't then mean that the other person is not going to do what I'm saying a while ago here. That is why I'm asking this one. What is the point of this? What, and can't bother answering no more question. That could be a response. How you deal with that response now is a challenge. Sometimes it might make sense to try and relocate them, or to have the meeting face to face. Then, since that mode of communication is not so healthy, or maybe you need to find a timeout, etc. That helps, Brother Andre, or confused further?
No, well, what when I asked, it definitely helped. But I guess I was looking at it from the standpoint that if somebody's having because you mentioned here mindful listening incorporates full presence and non-judgment. So whatever questions I'm asking, the objective is not to show them up, is to say to them, is to have further clarity on what they are sharing with me. So I'm asking the question to let them know that, listen, I am actively listening to what you're saying, just to show you that I have a vested interest in what you're sharing with me. Should I understand you to be saying X, Y, Z? And they said, yes, I'm saying this, and what have you. So I'm not coming to say, yeah, but you said this, and come to say, no, I'm not arguing with you. I just want to make certain that I understand your standpoint.
Perfect. Well, I love that you see that. Should I understand? I love that phrase or that approach to the thing. Am I to understand that XYZ, and the person can come back and say, no, 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 that's not what I mean. That is a powerful way, actually, because you just want to have clarity. Yeah, this is how it's landing with you. This is how you're understanding it, but you just want to make sure. You know. So, am I to understand that you are saying? And the person can say, oh, I can understand maybe why you think that, but that's not really what I mean. Those are some of the phrases that we can use to help to get to deeper understanding of what's happening without pointing fingers. So yeah, love that, right? As I said, though, you might get pushback, but I only raise that point to say that don't believe that these things are magic bullets, that, once you use this, everything is going to flow. The other person could actually be resistant. And even when you quietly say, am I to understand this? You might get a feedback to say, well, them think me an idiot. I'm not saying what I'm saying. All that, anything can happen, right? You know how when tempers flare, how people can be irrational. That's all I'm saying. All right. Okay. Last one, I think. Should be 6 of 6. The sandwich. Come back to sandwich. I think it is also important.
There's a comment in the chat.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at it. I think it is also important that we don't take things personally. Agree. Oh my gosh. That's another skill that we have to work on. Yeah. I must think some are idiot. Yeah. But that statement, I'm going to justify now why I'm not really taking it personally, but that statement must bound and compel me that them take me for idiot. But I'm not taking it personally. Hard. Yeah. It's something to work on and go back again to our naming of the emotions and so on. So when certain things start to percolate in our brain, make sure that we call them out. Hold on, right? Okay, fine. That statement, yeah, might be off-putting, but hold on. Let us try and get some clarification on it before you jump to conclusions and start to get upset about it, right? I hear you, I understand. You don't want anybody to take advantage or to think that you are stupid, but don't go there right now. Just try to clarify that and so on. So yeah, by the naming, the calling out of what is going on, it helps. Yeah. All right. I think there was a cricketer, I think he's best, that used to have a running commentary on his batting. So, the bowler coming in, he's talking about it, and about drive there. That's sort of what I think we could be having in our minds, is a running commentary. Okay, Trevor, I see that you're starting to get a little upset. Watch that. Careful, That kind of conversation with ourselves, I think, could help. Please, nobody call any psychiatrist. It's not madness. It's a good way of managing what we're doing. So yeah, back to the sandwich. I wish I had written it down. There's a fancy way to talk about the sandwich. I don't remember the terminology, but basically the whole idea is that if you're giving, lay the foundation, the sandwich idea, right? Compliment, meet, compliment, right? So your sandwich, the feedback, I want to call it the constructive, the developmental feedback in the middle of statements So the statement you want to start out with this because this is a situation that you want solution, you want improvement, you want us to be in a better place after the conversation. So you're not boding ill will, you really are there encouraging the individual. So you want to communicate that at every point in time. And so you might be, I want to discuss this because I believe in your potential. I want to see you succeed. And then you could look at whatever the issue is that might be limiting, impacting the person's growth and development. And then at the end of that, come back with why it is that you have raised this issue and why it is that you think is important to share with them. Yeah. So that's another approach. So you're in a developmental, a disciplinary, or whatever situation that you are in. That's the conversation that you're having. And there is, I suppose maybe Andrew will go back to the thing now as to the fault. The person has done something and you're trying to fix it. So it's not just coming down on the head, you're positioning it as a developmental exercise where, yeah, I'm kind of surprised at you because I really, at this, because I have so much belief in your potential and your capacity and, all of the wonderful things that you do here. All right. So what I'm about to share with you doesn't negate any of that. All right. So take this as part of your continued growth and development. When you present information in this kind of way, it can be confusing. Whatever, I don't know what it is that is the issue, but that's what you want to do. You want to start off by providing reassurance that this is going to be good. Right? I know the plans I have for you to prosper you, not to harm you. I give you hope. So that's the idea, right? That's the idea. The idea is that I have your back. I have your back, right? And in the context of having your back, here are some things that together we need to put in place. And then having put it, laid that out, then we go back to the having the back. Who thinks that's hypocrisy? We coach people in workshops to use this language, and then some people are response, depending on what the response is. Again, same thing, you take me for idiot. I don't want that, you're a hypocrite. Just tell me straight. Where go around all of this fancy thing and tell me all of that. Yeah? Call me out, man. Call me out. Yeah, just but I waste out my time, I go around all that thing. We don't need that kind of sugarcoating. Just tell me straight. I'm a strong man, we can deal with it. My back tough. Comments on that. Who feel that whatever the sandwich, throw away the bread, just give me the meat. I'm ready for that. But I go through this hypocrisy business where I sort of niceties when really and truly this is really what you mean to say to me. Where you go around all of that for? Just tell me straight. Anybody on that train? Mr. Psychologist, what is your view on this matter?
I am, I have a little tweak, to this. I have the word, I call it the 4 C's as a compliment. But in the center, it must be a concern and not a condemnation. nor should it be a complaint and then finish off with another compliment.
Okay.
And the reason why I literally, you know, employ that way of doing the thing is because we naturally start with the condemnation. You know what I don't like about it? Just talk to me straight. As I said, the hypocrisy that people attach to it. But then I said to folks, look at where it gets you. You know, you start with pointing fingers at people, and so it changes the way the whole dynamics of the conversation, because they are now prepared now to defend themselves, and there's a tit for tat going on. And so you have more of a conflict rather than trying to deal with the situation or to have any kind of resolution for that matter. And so we stop hearing from each other. So we feel labeled by the other person because we're saying, you know what I don't like about it. So what I would say to folks is that even if you don't mind somebody coming talking to you straight, please be mindful of how they want to be spoken to. So that's what I would say.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. All right, so it's not about you, or at least accept it then, right? So again, we can control ourselves. We should do the right thing. So we should actually use the language. And I would add that it would really be helpful if the bread could be real bread. That's what I would want to say. That is not make-up bread, so that it is so palpably untrue, you know. So that's why the person could come and say, hypocrisy, you know, really mean it, really and truly. If what it is that we're starting with is genuine, then that would help, yeah. And so that's where I want to go. All right, those are the 6 things that I want to do, but we have had three months of this. So happy to answer any questions or to get any inputs in. Definitely closing out this today. Next month we will have another issue. What you could also do, if anybody has any issue that they would like for us to deal with, you could actually type it in the chat and we can look at it. And to see some issue in terms of navigating life that you would really like to have addressed, we can deal with it. Yeah, but yeah, that's what I wanted to share today. Open to questions, comments about anything that, you know, going back to the very beginning. Questions, comments, suggestions? You want to have your final words, Brother Andre?
Well, just to say that even the sandwich, the sandwich thing, I think is very, very powerful, and I think also it is a good practice, you know, for us to change the way we speak to people, literally. I think we have a tendency to start with a complaint or with a condemnation. You know what I don't like about you? And that's to hold the conversation. And I can say something to you, and it might hurt, but, you know, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. So we start to almost justify what I'm going to say to you. And because it needs to be said and you need to hear it, then take it. You better take this. And then when we get pushback now, why are we surprised? Maybe because we did not employ the sandwich way of communicating. And so I really do believe that it is important that we think about, as I said earlier, the compliment. What does the compliment look like? Can the folks relate to the compliment? And then after you have the compliment, then you say, I'm concerned about this behavior. And you can use the I and how the behavior has impacted you. So I'm not asking to justify or to gloss over it. I'm saying I'm concerned about this behavior. I'm not sure where it is coming from. I'm not certain what is the context that surrounded it. And I'm still really looking for clarity, notwithstanding this is how it has impacted me. So you're not pointing on them, you're just talking about how the behavior has impacted me. Notwithstanding, nevertheless, I know that we can, not only remedy the situation, but ensure that we have a better relationship going forward. So you give them hope about, and so you end the conversation giving them hope that things can be better, rather than end it on a sour note. But if we don't practice it, believe you me, we're going to just continue to tell ourselves that we're not going to be hypocrite.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. All right. Anybody else? That's it. So we're going to wrap up.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes, sir.
One more comment, sir, if you permit me. Some time ago, we were made aware of some health challenges that Mr. Andrew Casey was facing, and we all prayed for him. So
Yes,
for me personally, it's good to hear him back loud and strong on the program. So, and I wish him continued recovery. May God continue to use him.
Amen. Amen, boss.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And we are blessed to have him back. Definitely. As we shall see in the first first Saturday of July. Yes. Hint, hint. All right. Yeah. So in a 2-minute sweep through, or does it run through some of the slides? I don't want to stop and ask, not stopping for any questions. But here are some of the things that we sort of did. Is that, there's a plan. You shouldn't just waltz into the difficult conversation just so, Ideally, you should actually have a plan. So you could actually defer. That is a challenging point here, because the person might be heated and want to have a discussion right now. But if you are not ready, please find a way to defer, right? So, because it might actually end worse. And then you have to be ready emotionally, get yourself in a state of mind that's ready. Make sure that you are emotionally grounded and all the right principles. Some of the things that we have reinforced today. Consider how the other person might respond, and timing. Timing is very important. All right. And the stakes, what is at stake? Is there a relationship? It could be a business situation. Is this a high stakes conversation? Yeah. So you need to look at that. You have to clarify your goals. Yeah. What is it that you really want out of the conversation? Yeah. That's part of what the why and so on. Yeah. And what impact could there be? Set the tone on. That's so important. So you want psychologically safe space. Use the I statements and look at what you want as against what you don't want. So I'm going to look at, I don't want this. Look at what it is that we want. What is it that would be useful for us to have going forward? And of course, get your facts. A lot of conflict, a lot of challenging conversations are based on falsehood, wrong information. We thought the person said this, or we thought the person did this, or somebody said something and that the person did and the person didn't do it. And then, of course, here's the active listening, but today we added now the mindful, which is beyond it, right? So be fully present. And yeah, the other person is not a robot, is not a terror, is not a serial killer, hopefully. So you have to stop dehumanizing them and try to see how you can understand and understand that they are upset, but you're not judging them to say, well, when I'm upset for? When I'm going so for? Just understand that the person is going through that, just the same way that you have emotions, that person is having emotions. But every time I do this kind of things, my mind runs into politics. Anyway, speak as if from a teleprompter, and not local politics. Choose your words clearly, don't bother with the grandstanding. You know, if you are the right one and you are the perpetrator, as Brother Andre would call him. And just look at, so instead of pointing at the you are wrong, it is, let us look at alternative approaches to what happened, you know, how this could have played out as against where we are today. And instead of both, we talk about that already. And be open. The person might actually have some things to say about you that are not pleasant. We are in, it's not 2 more minutes. And so, the whole idea is a win-win we're looking for. Look at the options. How it is that we can move forward. What is a win for you? What is a win for me? At the end of the conversation, we don't want to have any losers. Because when people lose, they're coming back to win at some point in time. You really want everybody to go away feeling as if they're all right. They came out of, well, you ideally you don't even want them to come out feeling that they come out ahead. And then follow. Make sure, don't assume that once we have had this conversation, sometimes we really feel great about ourselves that, man, I handled that well. And, you know, I went away smiling and shake hands. But have we really solved the problem? And so you need to be aware, look out for manifestations of, you know, look out for acts befitting repentance, right? That's it. So that's the idea. It's just look, has the behavior, is the behavior now aligned with what it is that we have agreed? Those are some of the things that we need to look at. And you might need to schedule then some follow-up to ensure that we're doing. All right, so that was one side, and then I went on this road because it's going to take long. But we had actually looked at having difficult conversations with persons from, you know, who use different behavioral styles. Leaving it there, going to stop and thank you for joining and inviting you to our worship tomorrow at 77 Redbridge Road, or if you're not able to come on site, you can use the same link and password to participate online at 9 a.m. And we have a Bible class immediately after the worship service. Our midweek Bible class is on Tuesday using the same Zoom link at 6:30. And we have websites. Today, the site seemed to have been down, but it's St. Andrew Church of Christ.org/media. And then we have a YouTube channel, Simply Christians with an SJA, or on Facebook, Simply Christians JA. So a lot of this content is there, including sermons, NAV live sessions, and Bible classes. Thank you so much. And we look forward. Remember, our NAV live sessions are on the first Saturday of every month at 6:30. And our brief therapy session is on the last Saturday of every month. All right. I think I see our evangelist here. And since he could be a sponsor for the program, let me give him the last word. Is he here? I thought I saw Brother Brennan. You want to have the last word, Brother Brennan? This might be your last opportunity to have the last word. You know? Some relationships. That's not possible. Sister money go kill me tomorrow. All right. Pulling on then thanks, and may God continue to bless you. And thanks for the participation. Appreciate it.